Hi, I'm Sarah Backhouse of Future 360. A new technology developed by Californian-based company CNS Response promises to revolutionize the field of psychiatry.
CNS Response applies cloud analytics to one of the most impenetrable mysteries of medicine, which is the human brain.
When treating patients for depression, anxiety, and PTSD, psychiatrists lack objective data and so are forced to prescribe using trial and error.
We're flying blind. We don't have instruments to dictate which drug which patient will respond to.
It would be a huge step forward if we could at least get to the right drug available much quicker than what we're able to do today.
Our competitor is trial and error. None of us wants to be that error. So doctors who use this report are able to know people with brains like yours. Just like when you buy a book on Amazon.com and it says, people who bought this book also liked this one and this one. People with brains like yours didn't respond to the med that he was about to give, did respond to this other medication. That's what we're able to do for the brain.
The company's technology, Peer, combines online data from real doctor and patient outcomes and pairs it with a traditional test of brain function called EEG. One of the doctors involved in the studies is Dr. Iosifescu, an associate professor of psychiatry and neuroscience at Mount Sinai.
I was part of some of these studies. We need even more in psychiatry than in other fields, biomarkers, both for diagnostic purposes and for validating the next step treatments.
This is not an invasive test. This is measuring EEG, which is done passively, meaning you put an external measure, a lead, a sensor on the head that picks up the underlying electrical activity. That's it. You're not giving somebody a drug, you're not operating on them, there's no invasion. It's a safe and reliable and effective technology for measuring brain activity.
Early results have been promising.
When using the Peer technology appropriately, a clinician can get a 60% true drug response, which is quite remarkable. It's about double the effectiveness. The probability of your patient getting well goes up from 30% to 60%.
It's estimated that more than 20% of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans suffer from PTSD and or depression. The US military has embarked on a 2,000-soldier Peer trial.
Suicide and mental health concerns, this is the top issue facing Iraq and Afghanistan veterans.
I served 4 combat tours, Desert Storm, and then I did 3 tours of Iraq. Many of our peers have seen some really horrible things and experienced some horrible things. Losing men in combat, seeing people lose their lives, and that leaves serious marks.
Clay constantly voiced concerns about the care he was receiving. Clay used to say, I'm a guinea pig for drugs. They'll put me on one thing, I'll have side effects, and they put me on something else. Just 2 weeks after his appointment with a psychiatrist at the Houston VA Medical Center, Clay took his life.
The military leaders that the company talked to, and I was in on a couple of those meetings, they said, we need something like this desperately. And we feel it's actually our obligation to test out whether a technology like this is going to work. If you could get 20% or 30% improvement over treatment as usual for how suicidal a person is, that's a major, major finding.
But it's not just military where the impact of CNS Response's technology can be felt. Peer has been validated in patients with difficult histories of treatment response.
So the fact that CNS Response in their studies has directly head-on addressed these populations makes their studies a bit more difficult to do, but at the same time it makes the answers, especially positive answer, the most interesting clinically and scientifically.
Well, I can't help but think that the data from Peer is going to lead us to different types of targets and drug targets that will only improve which we're prescribing for patients.
An intelligent algorithm, the Peer database continues to learn from the experience of the clinician until it takes on a form of artificial intelligence. This makes future possibilities for the technology all the more exciting, something that's being recognized at the highest levels of government.
At any given time, there are 30 million people in America on an antidepressant. Every one of those was chosen essentially by trial and error. So our thinking is if we can improve performance of those drugs, meaning less trial and error for everybody, we can have a big impact on people's lives.
You're saving lives.